Now what is that it needs to do? It already has the input. All that it needs to do is now do the binding. Let's say what should happen on show login. These are not anymore needed because we have removed it from validate is also not needed. This is going to happen on the fly. Sign up is going to happen through the drivers because these functions are not going to get called because we have already removed these functions from the protocol. These functions are now existing in the presenter but are useless. We need to start binding those functions using these drivers which we have passed through the input. So let's do that. For that, let's create a private function extension sign up presenter private and I'll call a function called setup binding. I'm just calling it as setup binding because everything is going to be like a binding here. So I'll just pass the input to this sign up presentation dot input. So once I have the input in this function, I have all the fields which I required. So first thing I need to do is show login. That logic, whatever we had, I can do just simply a map. Selector has nothing. And then I can call the router here. Router login. So this is what is happening here. Router login already happening. I can get rid of that. So the signal has now replaced this router login. Now I'll have to do all the drive things here because it is going to happen in the main thread. I just need to do a drive for that. Dot disposed by bag. Do we have it? Yes, we already have a bag, so I'm just calling that. So that's done. Show login feature should work now. Now next is input dot sign up. So for that you already have a logic here, so that this whole thing is going to move to now that. So I'm gonna do sign up dot, it's going to be a flat map. How? Because it's going to call this use case. So what is going to happen is this is calling my sign up of the use case, passing email, password. These three values we need now. So for that we need to, this is my drive coming from the signal. So this drive is nothing but go to the view controller, shows sign up, button tap, sending it as a driver. It comes to my, it's available through this. It'll come as with no values. It's just a driver void tap, but then I need these values now. So how am I going to get these values? I'm going to get these values through these input values because I'm passing it as a driver value. So I can just say with latest from. So this will get me all the latest values of a sequence of drivers which I'm going to pass here. So I can just say driver dot combine latest. I cannot, this with latest from can only accept, or is it like a sequence? Let me just see. From, it's single element. So I need to combine three things here. So I can just say driver dot combine latest. It can accept a collection of observables. So I can just say input dot username, input dot email, input dot password. So all that I am interested in is three values, which is let me just check once. which is I'm going to return only 3 values here. So it is going to give me $0 as well as $1 because it is combining this sign up with this. So this is my $0, this is my $1. So I can just say $1 dot email username $1 dot okay $1 dot $0 $1 dot dollar $2, these 3 values. Let me just check that once more. Driver.combine latest input.username, email and password. So if I capture this username, email, password, still giving me an error. Okay, it should not be $. Is the right format. Still has issues. Let me check. Driver combine. Okay, this has to be within this. Now it should be fine. It's a tuple. It's not able to infer the result. What happens if I don't pass this? Args. It's not right, something is wrong. Okay, let's start by doing it properly. With latest from these dot map returns me. Okay, this is fine. Okay, this is fine. Username, email, password, flat map. Okay, that's because I did not as observer. I did not do an as observer. Okay, cannot do that. This looks fine. $1.1, $1.2. Okay, it can come as argument. Let's see. So now this should be fine. So you get these three values. So I can just now say let username, email, password equals args. That's fine. Let's do this. It's gonna return a single string. As we know, this use case is gonna return a single string. Pass that to capture weak self. Return. Okay, so let's do a guard. This should not be so args. Guard self equals self, else I can just say return empty. There is no empty for single. Let observable dot empty as single. This self becomes proper. That's fine. So there are things which we need to modify. This is not the easy way of doing it. Okay, so let me do that. 012 is not making sense, so I'm just gonna do username, email, password, args. That's done. So now this is returning a single. So one of the things that we can do is we can transform this into a driver as soon as it returns a value. So if we make it as a driver string, then it's again going to give me an error. Driver.empty. So it says this is a single, I cannot convert it into a driver. So I can do something like as driver here and then capture the error. And then I need to do all the things which we did here, where if it is an error, capture that error here. So some of the things which I'm gonna move is this view updation is gonna not happen like this, but in a different way. So we'll do that in a bit. Return never. Never maybe. So those are things which we have done. Now flat map is happening. And so what is happening here? Sign up button, getting the latest of all these values from username, email, and password, flat mapping, and passing those arguments to the use case side where it takes those values and then executes the use case. And once that use case is over, it gets you, if there is an error, I'm capturing right away here because I'm trying to convert it into a driver, get the value, make it into a driver. So this we are going to do right now. Everything is in the main thread, but we will make it happen in the background thread. Once this is complete, we'll get in the main thread through using the driver, and then again use that to map here. So use case is done. Now I can get map there and get that value here. So I can say drive, still it needs to, this has to again go make it into a driver. It's not yet a driver. This is just that we are getting these error values here. I can just drive it here, driver.empty or never. And then I can do this drive dot dispose back by dispose back. I already have the back, so that's done. So what did we do? Sign up coming from the UI, captured through this signal, get the latest, execute the use case, make it as a driver, and then drive it in the main thread.